Good morning. This is retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, Little Lutheran Church in Amherst, New York, just outside of Buffalo. And it's the August 11th of 2024 this morning, also the 11th Sunday after the Feast of Holy Trinity. The text appointed in the original Old Series is from the Gospel of Luke, 18th chapter, verses 9 through 14. That's Luke 18, verses 9 through 14. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Two men went up to the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week, I give tithes of all I possess, and the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his chest, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted. Here ends that portion of the Holy Gospel from the Gospel of St. Luke, the 18th chapter, verses 9 through 14. And this type of text, I say type of text because Jesus tells the same idea from many different points of view throughout the Gospels. Sometimes he tells it in a story like here today, or other times he'll be talking more abstractly in other ways. But nonetheless, the idea is really the same. And it's an idea that no matter how long we spend in religion or study about God, is and always has been rather confusing. Here's why. Revenge is easy. If God were angry with people for, just mucking up all that he made and mucking up their lives and the lives of everyone else, well, then him taking that out on us would be the easiest thing in the world. I mean, he's this being, and I even use that word loosely because not sure what that is, don't know, and power immense. Some theologians like these words, the omnipotent, omniscient, all that nonsense. Besides, those words don't make any sense. That's like all-powerful, all-knowing. It's like, can you be all sick? What if you have a cold? Can I be all sick? No. It's not part of even our language. It's not part of any language. So that's a nonsense idea. But God is this unique being of immense knowledge and power and whatever. And we're just the creature. We exist for such a short time. Our walk on earth is typically not that long. And during that, we mess up every day. It's just who and what we are. And so the easiest thing in the world from God's point of view would probably be just to stomp us. Just to say, I'm washing my hands of this mess. And just blink and zap the whole thing out of existence. That's probably what I would do. I mean, why bother? Like when you're a kid playing with Play-Doh and you make something that turns out to be rubbish. And you look at that and go, oh, no. I have to crush that and mush that up soon before anyone even sees it. That's terrible. What was I thinking? And you mush it up. And I've always wondered, why doesn't God just do that? Why would he even bother? I wouldn't. A 3-year-old wouldn't. If it had a giant mess and go, oh, well, that's my creation. I love it. Really? Why? It's oh my. And that's what we are. And so for God to tell this story, for Jesus to tell this story, is weird because there's an idea in here that God has mercy. That God has mercy to forgive and forget how we really are. And instead substitute something else. And as much as we can describe this, as much as we can preach on it and teach it, etc., nonetheless, the essential idea within it, that God has chosen and still chooses and will still choose to be kind and merciful to those who despise him, is weird. It confuses me, and it really bothers me, because it makes no sense at all. The universe that God makes works by intractable rules. If you take an apple and you drop it or let go of it, it will fall toward the earth. It will always fall to the earth. It will just do it a million times, and a million times it will fall to the earth. It's just how it works. And with quantum tunneling, if you do it like 100 billion times, one of those times it'll fall into the earth. God set up rules that we, even now, with all our technology and science, we don't understand. We don't really know how things work. If you read the sheet that comes with your medicine, no matter what the medicine is, and it describes the chemical structure and the molecular structure and all of that, buried in there, in that fine print of that huge piece of paper folded up in your medicine box, is usually the sentence, this drug is prescribed for such and such condition. However, we do not really understand how it works in the human body. And I started reading that, and I was like, so I got other pieces of paper out for my other drugs, and I was like, it's there too. And I took out another one. It's there too. Even though the molecular design of the drug was indicated, the scientists had to be at some point just blunt enough to say, we don't really know why this works, or even how it works. It seems to work, and then sometimes it seems to do things that we don't want it to do, side effects. But, give it a shot. So we don't understand the rules that govern this world very well. We're still very primitive. We're still just a click away from knocking two stones together to make fire. But we do know that God set up rules and laws to run this whole place. And so we just think in those terms. And yet, religion violates every one of those rules. Because religion is based on this idea that the same God, the same mouth that speaks condemnation and justice, the same mouth that speaks the law against us, is the same mouth, the same being, that instead says another word. Altogether, not just the opposite, it's not of equal weight to the law, a word that supersedes the law, a word that is his proper and happy word, the thing that he takes delight in. He says, I take no delight in the death of the sinner. Well, no, because what he did for, and here in this text in verse 13, let me just read that again. And the publican staying afar off would not so much lift up his eyes unto heaven, but beat upon his chest, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And in the Greek here, that's a martelos in verse 13. A martelon. To a martelo. Meaning that it's not just sin that he does, but sin belongs to him. He's captive to sin. He's not free to set it aside. And you see that what this poor man is saying is, look, I'm a slave to sin. Never once have I been able to get up and go, I had a pretty good day. Coffee was perfect. Breakfast was perfect. I don't think I'm going to sin at all today. I think I'm going to have a perfect day. The coffee's been perfect, breakfast's perfect, and ta-da, here comes a perfect day. But I'll guarantee you, before long comes about, it'll all turn to sludge. And by the end of the day, he's just waiting for the other shoe to drop, either by his own stupidity or the stupidity of others. That's the experience. And so it confuses me to no end that God looks at such a one who, in spite of any good intentions that there may or may not even be, he comes before God and goes, I got nothing. I'm bringing nothing. I can offer nothing. I have nothing. And worse than all of that is the negative. Not just I am nothing, but I am instead to amartalo, amartia. I'm one who constantly violates you. I'm a living violation against you. I choose always to do things that I know upset you and make you angry. And I have no idea why you even care. I mean, why does God even speak to us? But he does. And then he comes in with words of kindness. And so, in spite of living in a world of rules and laws and science and math, which regulate everything, even though we really don't understand much about it yet, we're just slightly out of the caves, beating together stones to create fire, yet God favors us. He takes delight in us even. In spite of the fact that we are not only neutral toward him, but we are negative. And he still goes, yeah, I get that. I know you. I made you. But here's how I'm going to say. I don't care. I've sent my son, and I rained down hell, all of my wrath, all of my anger, all of my displeasure on him. And now there's none left. It's satiated. It's filled up. It's done. So there's no anger left for any of you. Instead, I choose to adopt you. I choose to welcome you. I choose to smile and be happy. I choose to invite you into my home, and I choose to make you to be just like my son, Jesus, true man, true God. And to give you the same power and glory and authority and honor that my son has. And that's how you will be forever and ever. And we're just like, huh? What? Because I guarantee this will be a complete amazement to us. It's like, I mean, you die because something's gone horribly wrong, even if it's stepping out in front of a Mack truck. Still, your day has gone sideways. And so, at that point, you're dead or dying, and you don't have anything that's working anymore. It's all broken up. And you all of a sudden are in perfect shape forever. You stand next to God's son and go, hey, bro, what you doing today? Want to go fishing? Yeah? Cool. Got beer? Got some eggs? Pizza, maybe? Some brats? Let's go down to the lake, go fishing. Okay, let's go. I mean, forever. So, it's not just for the afterlife, but St. Paul in Romans chapter 5, he says, even now, even right now, this grace in which we stand right now. And so even though we are still sinning, like this man in this text, and the publican staying far off would not so much as lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat upon his chest, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner. He hasn't stopped sinning. He's not going to stop sinning. One of the stupidest things I've ever heard are Christians who say, Well, since I've become a Christian and baptized, I don't sin anymore. Really? Have you asked your kids? Have you asked your wife? Have you asked anyone close to you? Trust me, you're an idiot who sins a lot. In fact, even saying that is stupidly wretched. And so that's the beauty of us. We don't stop sinning. We can't. Part of us is still slave to sin. And yet there's a brand new creature that God creates that is free from sin and free to live. And yet both of these are in one body. Martin Luther came up with a phrase to try to describe this, although it doesn't. It's called simul justus et peccator. At the one and the same time, just and wretched. And he tried to say this mystery in a short sentence. It's close. And yet the mystery is far greater. And so this mystery that is us in the meantime has opportunities to enjoy every day with each other. And then forever with each other. And Dad. And Bro. And the Spirit. It's so cool. So that's what religion ought to be about. And even though we'll still do wrong, God washes it away. It's already gone. Not when we believed, not when we were contrite, none of those things, but it was gone before the world was begun, when God the Father decided to send our brother to fix it all. That's when sin disappeared. Okay, well, this has been retired Pastor Karl Schmidt from Calvary Lutheran Church, a little Lutheran church in Amherst, New York, saying take care, be well. Bye-bye.